lemon zest, orange sherbet, sweet tart, cac. So many mangoes I got from the Gary Zill mango program. And today on the show I have Gary Zill himself talking about how he came up with this program and all the things he grew in his program and just so much information about different varieties. Gary also mentioned his favorite variety of this past year, 2023, his favorite varieties, and it's so great. I love going around and interviewing people at their yards about all the different mango trees they had, and the majority of those mangoes came from his program, and the majority of the mangoes I have in my yard, all but two in this particular yard, came from Gary Zill's program, and I love them, and thank you, Gary, so much for doing what you've done and what you're doing. This interview is part of a longer interview that I did with him that I'll be up airing soon, but please post your comments and questions below this one. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, please subscribe because I got so much more coming up. And here it goes.
I've been really surprised, actually, with the popularity of these new varieties that I selected. I just set out, and that was like, it was over 20 years ago. I decided I was just going to start. I got the idea, I think it was back in 1990 at a mango symposium in Miami, that some of the people from Australia were saying how they were just noticing from the aroma of the leaves that they could pick out a particular, that's a Southeast Asia type of aroma of the plants. And I thought, aha, I'll bet you I can do that with a lot of different flavors. And I did. And I just decided maybe instead of doing all the hand pollination and everything else, I'll just plant out a whole bunch of seeds and look for these flavors, aromas that I'm wanting to see if we can find something exciting about, and planted out a lot of trees and ended up with, well, there's a kind of a list of, you know, all the varieties that I finally ended up keeping. And some of them have been very exceptional and adapted where I grow the trees. By and large, the main reason I selected them was that they didn't have jelly seed, which means they really had it was easier to keep have a good quality fruit without, you know, too many details, and just flavor. I was looking for flavor and ended up with some exceptionally good flavored and a lot of variety, a lot of different varieties. There's Southeast Asia. I think some of these Southeast Asian varieties that I have for ripe, not for green. I'm not going to try to compete with some of these green Thai or Vietnamese varieties, but somewhat that you know, before they may have been around, but before I made these selections, we had Philippine, Florgon, Fairchild, Cambodiana, one they call Saigon, and there probably were a number more, but I didn't know of them. And I ended up making some selections. That was a pretty easy one to pick out for the aroma. And you know, we've got the oh gosh, what we call sweet tart, which is a tart mango, but also sweet, very good. One we call Kathy, which is another one. One we call Venus, which is a very, very large late mango. And one we call cream, oh gosh, buttercream, yeah, buttercream. That's another really, really good one. And all four of those, I think, are better than any of the mangoes that I was aware of, anyway, by far, in any of them that I really... Now, there are some others. I don't mean to talk about the Southeast Asian types. There's some very good ones of those as well. But sure, of the ones I've selected, I think they're of the kind of the stronger flavored types. They're really good.
Now, name means a lot. Some of your mangoes, because of your mango program, had a number and a row that haven't gotten named yet. So why do you wait a certain amount of time before naming certain mangoes that are released as opposed to just naming them right away? Just trying
to decide what's a good descriptive name. Most of the ones that we've named, actually, some people say this is this. I didn't name, I don't think I named any of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We just thought, oh, well, that's good, or this is good, and that's good. But I do know that naming them it makes people easier to remember. I mean, who's going to remember 015? 015 is a very good, it's a vigorous tree, a very good mango that it's a seedling of Jakarta, which got its flavor from the Indian variety grown commercially in India. Been around here in Florida forever. Was my mother's favorite mango, called Pahari. In Jamaica, they call it Bombay. And I know that tree, one of the parents, I don't know which, had to have been that because I know where the seed came from, and I know where the only possible way it could have gotten that particular aroma. And the one we call Sunrise and 015 are both seeds of the Jakarta, and they got that flavor from the grandmother, Bombay.
So you said 015 is Bombay and Jakarta?
Well, Jakarta was a parent of the 015 and of the Sunrise. And they both have that distinctive aroma and flavor that the Jakarta has. And by the way, Jakarta is a wrong name. It's not from Indonesia. It is a Indian type. And the way it got that name was kind of crazy. My first wife, it was her favorite mango. And I don't know why. She always called it Jakarta. And I said, no, it's the Pahari seedling. And finally, I just said, "Oh hell, we'll just call it Jakarta," and the name is stuck. And I should rename it something else. And speaking of names, I'm not real crazy about the one we call Super Alfonso.
I was just going to ask you about that one
because the first time I tasted that mango, the first year, it had one fruit on it. I was watching and watching. I thought, well, I better pick it because it's starting to show these lenticels. And I kept it, and I thought, I remember it was 10 days. Normally, it used to be anyway, 10 days is a long time for a mango to get ripe if you picked it at the fully mature stage. And I thought, it's taking it 10 days to get ripe. I don't know if it's going to be any good or not. I cut into it, and it was the best mango I tasted all summer. And I said, oh my God, this is India. That was the name I was going to give it, India. Nobody liked that name. And I still would prefer to call it India's gift because to me it is the essence of Indian mangoes, Indian flavors, as much as any other one. And there's some really good Indian mangoes and some really good selections I've made of that. But to me it has that flavor if it's grown right, picked at the right time, because you can't let it, well, you got to get enough calcium in it. It can get jelly seed real bad if it's left to tree ripen and given too much nitrogen but if you grow it right and it's getting enough sunlight, it is a phenomenal mango. Also, the other thing is that you can pick it mature enough to where it ripens real well after 2 weeks at a high temperature. I learned this sometime a number of years ago. We were having a rare fruit council meeting in West Palm, and I picked a bunch of these, and I wanted them to ripen in time for the meeting, which was going to be a week later. So I put them in a greenhouse area that was covered and closed, and I know the temperature in there was 110 degrees. It was an oven in there, and a lot of those fruit got ripe for the meeting, and a lot of them didn't get ripe for another week. And I was like, this is amazing. So I honestly believe you could put that mango in a container, pick it, put it in a container, ship it to Europe, and if it took 2 weeks to get there, but it has to be somebody who really knows when to pick it,
sure,
how to pick it. And it's not something that's easy to do. But
So how did you get the name Super Alfonso?
Well, Alfonso is the famous, most well-known mango out of India. There are a lot of others. I mean, my gosh, there's a lot of commercial groves. Kesar, and I have a book my uncle sent to my father years ago that has over 100 varieties of mangoes in it. But anyway, Alfonso is, and it's a very, very good mango in India. Here I don't care for it, but the ones I ate in India were pretty good. Very good. And I thought that, I don't remember where we even came up with that name, except that it was like the the epitome of a really, really good Indian mango that appeal to everybody. And I'll guarantee you, you eat one of those grown in India where they grow them, and you're going to like it. And I just thought that this mango was equal.
But no reference to taste or the mango.
Not exactly. Not exactly. And certainly not to appearance. So Alfonso is just a yellow mango. Super Alfonso has some color to it and can be quite pretty if it's out on the outside branches and get some good sun on it.
So if somebody's looking for an Alfonso mango, do you tell them, well, get Super Alfonso, or do you say, well, there's more that, or you'd want more? They're not. How are they related, the Alfonso and the Super Alfonso?
I would say if you really like Alfonso, you're going to really like the Super Alfonso. That's all I can say, because it's as, like I say, to me it's the most, and some people it may be too strong of a flavor. Some people really like the fruit punch. Some people really like, another really good Indian type mango is one we call fruit cocktail.
Yes, excellent.
It's very good and has a nice firm texture.
Excellent. But does the Alfonso taste similar to the Super Alfonso, in your opinion?
The Alfonso, very complex mango. That has a lot of different, and so does the Super Alfonso.
It's wonderful. So I know you got the seedlings from your mangoes. In your program, you had the seedling. You knew which one they were. How did you determine which one was the parent of that? So let's say you had a seedling from, let's say, a Jakarta in your program. You put it here, let's say row, this number. Then you get a mango that tastes pretty amazing. How did you determine which plant, what other mango was the parenting of that mango?
Right. Well, here, I can show you on my list here, like, I would write down, when I'd sample a mango, I would write down the aroma. Well, not sampling mango. These selections, as far as deciding what I thought the parent was, were not made by the flavor. They were made by the aroma of the tender leaf. And that's a lot like the aroma of the sap of the mango when you pick it. And you pick a Hayden or a Kent or a Kit or a Tommy Atkins, Irwin, Glenn, all of the prodigies of Hayden that didn't get crossed with something more interesting, you can't tell the difference. It's all going to be the same. What you're getting, though, in your Southeast Asian types, you're getting some very distinctive aromas. Okran's real distinctive versus Namdok Mai. And then on your Indian varieties, there's one type that's more like the Kerry Julie. There's another one more like the Bombay or Pahari. And there's one very distinctive to the Gary mango, which I originally came from a mango called Pettigrew. And those are basically the three. If I've left one out here, I mean, here I've got on my list Ambrosia. The sap had an aroma like East Indian. Sweet tart, like actually one of the Southeast Asian types I use called ZIC. I mean, here I have a 720 that was a Kerry seed, and I couldn't say it was any different from a Kerry, the aroma. But there were a lot of Kerry seeds that didn't carry that aroma. When I was in Israel one time, I was walking through a long line of mangoes that were all seeds of Bombay. And only one out of 20 or 30 had that distinctive aroma to the fruit and flavor.
So are you saying that you determined the parenting of the seedling based on aroma?
Yes.
So it's not something you plan out. So you put the seedling out there and you don't plan and say, well, I'm going to put it with this one. And you just let it happen. And then when the mango comes, then you decide.
All I know is way too far. Way too far. It could have, I mean, granted, the closer they are, the better. But it doesn't necessarily work that way. And to me, I was just looking for flavors. I wasn't going to try to make a particular cross or anything. It's extremely time consuming, very hard. You make 2 or 3 hand pollinations and you might get 1 fruit set. You work with the nonas, you make a hand pollination, you're going to get 10 or 15 fruit, or trees, I should say.
So other than the aroma, you also, let's say you have an aroma that you're questionable about, you also look at the habits of the tree, right? Is that?
Well, after you plant the seed and wait a good while to watch it grow, yeah, definitely. And just because of the aroma that you think it's going to be what it's going to be like, doesn't necessarily you're going to get what you want by any means. There was some literally I cut into and I just threw it away and actually took a glass of water and rinsed my mouth out. They have a very strong, there's a lot of mangoes are complex.
Sure. So of all the mangoes out there, I know you have different times you've been asked this question. What are your 3 favorite ones currently now and here in 2023? What are your favorite of all the ones you've tasted?
Well, of the ones that I've selected, I'm just going to narrow it down to that. This year, I had a P22. We got to think of a name of that. It was as good as they get. And it's a Southeast Asian type. It's just yellow. But especially surprising this year, as much rain as we've had. If you want a Southeast Asian type like, they say Fairchild was David Fairchild's favorite mango. Well, I don't think he ever tasted one of these. Okay, and I'm no offense to David Fairchild. I'm sure he knows what he's doing or knew what he was doing. But that was one of the best mangoes I ate this summer.
P22.
And it is excellent flavored.
Name's coming soon.
I'm sorry?
A name is coming soon for it.
We're going to have to get a name for it. But that's the row and tree number of it, and it gives you an idea how many we selected from. Another real good one, we just last night had a sweet tart that was just spectacular. Apart from that, yeah, we had a little gem. That's a really good late mango. It's a kit seed. And I'm pretty sure it's a kit crossed with a Julie. I'm not sure, but that's kind of what I would have guessed. I know where the seed came from. Oh gosh. Fruit punch is a really good mango. Very good. A lot of people like that. It's not an overpowering Indian type aroma, but it's really good. Oh gosh, orange sherbet. Orange sherbet is orange sherbet and lemon zest. Hard to say which of those two is a better mango. They're both very good. Orange sherbet's a more compact tree. Lemon zest is going to get out of hand if you don't keep it pruned.
Yeah.
They're both real clean. They're both, although lemon zest, I've heard some problems with this
bacterial black spot.
Bacterial black spot. It's been going around. It's very strange. Some years, a couple of years back, it was really bad on a lot of trees, and then this year I don't remember seeing it hardly on anything.
Yeah.
And I think, just like there are insects that are, this is my theory, because I just from what I'm seeing, just like I remember a long time ago, whiteflies were really a problem. I was going to spray a tree in my yard, my backyard, never got around to it, and eventually it went away. It's something that got took. And this, I think there's some phages, bacteriophages that are taking care of that bacteria to some extent, and it comes and goes, and it seems like it hasn't been a problem at all this year.
What can people look forward to in terms of trees and also even mangoes? Any new varieties that people can look forward to or anything like that?
Well, I've got a couple of varieties that I'm looking at that I haven't decided whether to, I'm wanting to wait and watch them, see what the fruit are like. Like I say, we just got caught really by surprise, the huge growth and demand for mangoes the last 3 or 4 years. And I'm sure we're going to have a very good supply of mangoes. I mean, I'm looking at what we've got sitting out here and how much they're growing versus how many trees we're selling. And we're definitely getting ahead. We're getting ahead to the point where I'm a little bit, I'm hoping that they don't get so big the wind starts blowing them over next spring. Next summer.
All right, everybody, that was Gary Zill at Zill's High Performance Nursery And this was a shorter part to a longer interview. I got so much more, so if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. And if you are growing some Zill mangoes in your yard, I'd love to come out and film. So please contact me. My email's below in the description, and we could set up a time for me to come on out. Gary Zill is amazing, and everything he's done with mangoes is amazing. The whole Zill family, his brother Walter, I've had on the show before, and I'm going to put all the other links that I did here with Gary Zill below in the description as well. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Zill High Performance Nursery. Everybody stay tuned for more. And until then, everybody, thank you and keep growing.